Joining us now for tonight's Big Close-Up is independent journalist Nick Shirley. Nick, thank you so much for taking the time to join us tonight. I read through this bill today as painstakingly, as painful as it was. And the section where they give definitions is really where the dirty work is. Because in the beginning you think, okay, well, it's not legal to harass somebody because of their job. You may disagree over if any specific group gets that protection, but you can understand that. But when you look into the definitions, it defines an immigration support service to be a healthcare. Like an immigration support service facility to be a healthcare facility. So the ambiguity there is huge. And then under harassment, it basically says a reasonable person caused a reasonable person to fear for their own safety. So that goes to the discernment of, I don't know, bureaucrats or people that are filing a complaint. They really leave it incredibly open-ended for you to be targeted for going to a place of work and reporting on it, depending on what that place does.
Yeah, and that's their whole goal, is to make it as open-ended as possible so they can then crack down on anybody who's working to expose them. In this bill, it doesn't say journalist. It actually says people or business. It doesn't say journalist. So this is actually an attack on not just me, but on an attack on the entire country, because they're trying to literally make it harder for fraud to be exposed. And so when they say it's an attack on journalists, it's actually an attack on everyone.
Yeah, it certainly is. Nick, I know that you've talked a lot about this, but what do you make of the fact that the person really pushing this is Assemblywoman Mia Bonta? She's got some interesting connections, doesn't she, Nick?
Very interesting connections. With her husband being the Attorney General of California, their goal as a family should be to prosecute and take care and make sure that there is so little fraud in the state that they can have such a peaceful night of sleep. However, while the Attorney General is supposed to be prosecuting fraud, his wife is creating laws to let fraud continue. They're specifically saying that NGOs who receive money based off immigrant services don't have to disclose their money. And so we know that they use those services to commit fraud.
Yeah.
You know, Nick, it's interesting to me that people who will scream fascism or authoritarianism the loudest are now rushing to criminalize investigative journalism. I think that sort of speaks for itself. We played a clip here on the show last evening of Congresswoman Ilhan Omar of Minnesota. She was on a podcast talking about how your efforts and similar efforts really kind of amount to creepy harassment. And it's creating, she called, a cloud of suspicion unfairly around minority-owned businesses. What's your response to the Congresswoman when she says something like that?
Well, it's a bit suspicious to have your net worth go up by millions and then just recently say that it's an error. I mean, I don't think I've ever put 2 extra zeros as an error when I file any report. So Ilhan Omar, we know who she is. We know that she's like the king, the queen of the fraud, actually. And so Ilhan Omar, no respect to her whatsoever.
Yeah.
Hey, Nick, it's Anita Vogel. I had a chance to meet you and your mom last month when you came into the Fox Los Angeles Bureau to be on Fox News at Night with Trace Gallagher. We were all on the show together. And I really enjoyed meeting your mom. She told me she studied journalism and has been helping you with your efforts to expose fraud. She, in many cases, does the camera work, and you really have been a team out there. But she also told me how dangerous this work is and the threats that you have received. And I think a lot of people don't think about that when they see your videos because we're just so in awe of what you're doing. But talk a little bit about the danger here that you're dealing with.
Yeah, so the danger is real. Like, for instance, last time I was in California, a few trips back, people were trying to dox my location live. I was at a hotel, and people were up on Reddit group chats saying where I was staying. And it's happened a few times now, so it's like almost even dangerous for me to go stay at hotels because you can get doxxed really quick and people can find out where you're at. You get constant death threats from people. The fraudsters are angry. In fact, yeah, they're very angry. I've had death threats, and one of them was even very specific about the date. It's actually supposed to be coming up very soon, the date that they said they'd kill me. So that was interesting. And you just get all these death threats. You get doxing. But the majority of the public are very thankful. Like when I'm out in public, so many people come up to me and say thank you. It's actually interesting at Sacramento when I was just there. So many people were saying thank you, but the people inside the building, they all hate me because I'm exposing their corruption. But the people love me.
Nick, the Bonta family does not like you, but the rest do. I want to ask you, speaking of that, Governor Gavin Newsom and his press bros, they talk a lot of junk about you. They post photos of you. I think the recent one trying to make you look like Dumb and Dumber. A lot of it is childish and stupid, but they've also insinuated that you're some kind of a predator, that you go to facilities and you're looking for children. And I believe Joe Rogan also addressed that on his podcast. But what do you make of the way that the governor of California, his team, and others, the way that they characterize you?
Well, they should be working with me to crack down on this fraud. Instead, they want to make me look like the bad person. Maybe it's because that fraud makes them look bad. But in reality, I'm there to help everyone out. This fraud, it's not a Republican or Democrat issue. There is a lot more fraud in Democrat states, but I'm actually just trying to help America in general. And so for them to make these attacks, it's quite frankly very stupid of them to do that when in fact I'm just providing a huge public service, more than any public service they've done, and they get very upset about it.
Nick Shirley, you're young in this career, but I'd say wise in what you're doing. So we really appreciate it. And thank you for joining us tonight.
Thank you very much.
Yes, sir. Nita, I want to bring you probably know more about California than anyone here. Are people in California concerned about fraud in the state at all?
Well, of course. It was all in the news recently, all the hospice fraud, but don't forget COVID fraud.
Yeah.
I mean, that's still the huge number. The fraud with the fire. None of the victims got any money. We don't know where the money went. I mean, fraud is rampant in California. So the answer is yes. And the citizens of California should be saying thank you to Nick Shirley. They shouldn't be making, the state shouldn't be criminalizing what he's doing.
Tom, you mentioned Spencer Pratt earlier. I think he's running for mayor, I believe.
Of LA.
And that's the same thing, where this is an issue that attacked a community in LA so acutely that it probably changed some of their politics. Maybe not their party, but who they supported. You think that maybe some of these California leaders would be reading the tea leaves on someone like Nick Shirley, because he says, hey, I'm exposing it for everyone.
Yeah. But when you expose the fraud, the gravy train comes to an end, or at least it hits a roadblock. And for some of these politicians, that gravy train can be linked back to them. So they have every incentive to stop people like Nick Shirley. He's making a fool out of people like Gavin Newsom. And the fact that Gavin Newsom, as the governor, and his press team, the fact that they're tweeting out memes of Nick Shirley, who's in his 20s, like Dumb and Dumber. I mean, how childish can you be? Address the issues. Nick Shirley, keep going. You've got a lot of support.
Yeah, I know you've been involved in journalism at least since college, probably before. This guy's in his early 20s. Part of what made his original post so powerful was you couldn't just look at him and look at his page and see all the talking points in a three-letter network. It seemed like a citizen journalist. You might not even know his politics.
Yeah, you might be wondering, why aren't legacy journalists doing this work? And some of that's because they're ideologues and Democrats, and they don't want to embarrass their own party, their own political party, the Democrats. The other is, even if they might be tempted to go after this kind of fraud and expose it, and some journalists do, there's this access problem in a one-party state, where if you do too much Nick Shirleying out there, you get shut down by the politicians there. They won't talk to you anymore, which is why we now have some of these politicians who seem, listen to this, more eager to put Nick Shirley in prison than fraudsters in prison. And to Tommy's point, there's a reason for that.
All right. Well, I hope he continues to do his work, and the rest of us take a key from it. All right.
Be sure to like and subscribe for all the Fox News latest on YouTube, and catch full shows streaming now on Fox One.